Friends, and welcome to episode 150 of the Noclip podcast. How are you all doing? I'm doing great because I'm joined by two wonderful chaps who, thank the good Lord Jesus Christ, have played some video games this week. Because your boy Danny, I've been having a week over here, and I have, as much as I've tried, I have not squeezed in a single minute of playing video games. This might be the first time in my entire life. But there's some fun stuff happening over here. Had a wedding on the weekend that was a lot of fun. Got some like home ownership stuff going on, moving house stuff going on. A lot of that. I'm working on a project that we have not been able to talk about for 2 months that is getting close to getting finished, which is basically taking all of my last minutes of the day. We have the NHL documentary. Jeremy rendered it last week. It's basically there. I'm just trimming it. The Monkey Island one is there too. They're both big boys, so there's a lot going on. And I feel like I'm starving. I feel like my body is missing video game nutrients. So I'm glad that both Frank or Jesse here are here. Jesse, how are you doing? Hello. Thank you for stepping in this week with our boy Jeremy Jane, enjoying some R&R with his family. Great excuse to get you on, but especially as we sort of, get ready for the Game of the Year festivities coming up next month.
Yeah, it's just about time. The year is over. We're finally capturing our thoughts on some of the best of the year. I can't wait to hear about Robocop from Frank. Apparently he played that this week. I wonder if he's going to want to buy it for $1 or not. Other Robocop quotes.
There we go. We got it. We got it.
Happy to be here.
I was about to say, could you shoot off penises? But I remembered that's from a sketch. Do you remember that one where the
Fatal Farm or whatever?
Whoever did that. That's the problem with internet videos is that internet video is probably like 12 years old now. And to me, it just feels like it came out like last week. Frank, how are you? How is your penis?
Good, great. Always good. No, I'm very good. November is exciting because there's lots of like concerts, wrestling shows, conventions, work, gaming, so it's like I feel like this is like a good month. I'm busy, but happy.
Is there a lot of conventions and concerts on? Is that now that you mention it, there are one or two bands I like that are coming in. Is that like a thing? Does that happen? Like
I wonder if this is like the last surge of like tour dates and stuff before the holidays, because like even like Mega 64 is on tour right now. Right. Last night I saw this J-pop band called Guarascia. They're kicking off their US tour. Next week, I'm seeing The Hives, Devo.
Oh, wow.
Holy crap.
I feel like there was more things. And then, but I think it's like, I don't know if December's quiet, but I feel like this is the last surge because there's a ton of shows in the summer. So maybe everyone's doing their fall tour right now.
Is it a West Coast thing where people tour the country and then they end up here at the end of their tours and it just makes sense that like they're wrapping up before Thanksgiving? Like
probably, and then also maybe to escape the winter.
I know was just going to say it's frozen rain here right now, so getting to go to California before you have to deal with this. I'd rather do that if I was a musician for sure. Who wants to play outside in 1 degree Celsius?
I hadn't considered that's why they might end up over here in fall / early winter. Yeah, that makes complete sense. Is it really is it bad up there, Jesse, at the moment? Like,
buddy, it's brutal. I mean, I can't imagine what it's like in New York right now, but it's literally hailing outside. Really? Right now, and it's the middle of November, not even like the start of November. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be a rough year.
A rough winter. Yeah, we've had a funny one in California. I feel like it's been warm forever up here. It's every week.
Lucky.
There's been a day where it got cold, and we're like, oh, here it is. It finally turned up, and then the next day is like 80. And you're like, what's going on? And it rained like up here for the first time in a while. Like first time in I don't know. What feels like months yesterday. Also, not to make it all about me in some super arrogant, stupid way, but Monday was my 10th anniversary in America. It was my since I moved over here from London town with a stick and like one of those little red and white,
the paperboy hat on, just
bags.
Coming over.
Exactly. Yeah. Hello, governor. I moved over to work for GameSpot, and 10 years ago now. Couldn't have imagined that we'd be in the situation we're in now, where I get to make documentaries, and it's been 7 years of this shit too. So massive thanks to everyone who's supported me and supported Noclip for the past 7 years, and looking forward to the 10th anniversary of Noclip coming up in
2026.
Yeah.
What did you do to celebrate 10 years as an American? Did you get a hamburger?
Bought a house.
Oh, okay. The American dream, right?
It was a real sort of, this is either going to make this day or fucking ruin this day. Because when you anyone who has bought a house knows that it is, and we've had a rough, weird couple of years. I mean, we're lucky enough to be in a position where we can. So that's the first and foremost thing, especially here in California. It's pretty crazy. We moved out of the Bay Area proper to sort of get away from just how insanely expensive everything was, and like when we lived in Oakland, it was the margins were small, let's say, especially during COVID. But we sold out of there and have been like renting and finding where we wanted to live for the past like couple of years, or the past maybe it's only been a year, I guess, actually. But then, it was a kind of a random thing. We were, interest rates are terrible at the moment, and nobody's really buying houses or anything. But then this random fixer-upper in the countryside popped up, and they needed someone to get it soon, and we just chucked in an offer, and it happened. On the day I was like, this is a nice 10th anniversary. I've been stressed all day. It's been an awful day, but if it works out, it'll be like a momentous day. And thank Christ it was. I'm very excited about that. That'll be nice. And then also it means it's actually a type of place. It's like a house that like we're gonna have to take out the hammers and nails and stuff and paint some walls and tear down some wallpaper. But it does have enough space for me to set up an office and have probably somewhere I can film stuff. So we're up on our lease in these studios in Novato. So I'm going to be closing this place down over the next couple of weeks. We're moving out in late December, and then the new Noclip home will be in the countryside in Sonoma County. There is a barn. There's a metal barn that I think I might convert. But
new revenue stream. Start doing livestock.
Oh my, yeah, exactly. That's where the real money is.
Yeah.
It's in pygmy goats. Let's go. Let's go that way. If you could own any animal, what would it be? Because I'm kind of faced with that problem right now.
Dude, capybara, no question.
Oh, that's good. You're not allowed to have them, are you?
Are you not?
Protected?
What?
One of them escaped from the zoo. A zoo in Canada. It was Vancouver, I think.
Stop talking about it. I got my capybara and you're ruining it.
I heard of it. I forget who told me this. I think it might have been Nathan Vella when he was like at Capybara Games. He might have told the story. Somebody told me that story, that a capybara got out and it took them like a week to find it because they're just like super shy little cutie little bears.
Just big rats.
Yeah, they are. They're just like cute rats, cute big rats. Yeah. They're like what are those things in Oblivion or Sky or Fallout? They're in some game. It's like a mole rat or something.
I know what you're thinking of.
What is that?
Mole bear? I don't know.
What's that? Is that I literally can't remember if that's a Elder Scrolls or a Fallout thing. It sounds like a Fallout thing. Mole rat.
Mole bear.
Mole bear.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Mole rat. I googled that. Like mole rats are going to be only a thing from a video game.
Yeah, mole rat.
Yeah. There it is. Yeah, Fallout.
Yeah. Mole rat. Yeah, that kind of looks like. Oh God, mole rats are real. That's a terrifying picture. Jesus.
Yeah, right.
Should have done. Oh God, fucking Windows wants to update.
Naked
Another time. Go away. Frank, what would you get if you could get any?
Well, my first immediate thought was like a cat or a dog. I've never had a pet. So
oh yeah, that's right.
A cat would be cool. A dog or a talking turtle.
A talking turtle,
like English?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, because a turtle will live a long time, but imagine you can bond with it and like watch movies with it, and it gives you advice. I don't know. That seems very.
I feel like turtles would talk slowly though. It'd be hard to make friends with the turtle. It'd be like, so
but they'd be
what
wise.
did you think?
It'd be like those guys in Mass Effect. Remember those fellas?
Yeah.
Those like big guys who spoke really slowly, or they didn't speak slowly. They spoke in like they spoke their emotions or something, like inquisitive talk. Remember those guys? They were like huge, like. Walruses looking dudes. They were cool. I like to ask what farm you're at, and you went with the very domestic option of cat. which presumably
it's farm cats.
Is anyone in your house? That's true. That is true. You need a cat to get rid of the mice, and then you need a dog to eat the cat, and then you need a horse to eat the dog, and then you gotta, I don't know
what was going on in the farms in Ireland. What the hell?
You need a spider to make a web.
And then a pig to make friends with the spider, and then
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of like around these parts anyway. People have a lot of like farmyard animals that they clearly got because they just look funny, like alpacas and llamas and stuff like like pygmy goats and like kind of like short legged donkeys. Like you're just like, do you need that, or is this? Are you a real farm, or is this like an aesthetic choice that you've gone for?
That's Schwarzenegger has like a goat and a pig, and I think it's the same thing. He has like these funny looking animals, and he like makes TikToks and Instagrams with them.
How are you?
Yeah,
Black Phillip, say something funny. Oink.
I think.
Oink.
I used to run the.
You lazy swine.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I'm a pig, you idiot.
Oh,
I'm
that's
a cop,
really
you
good.
idiot. It works, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's the same line.
It's literally the same.
Yeah.
These two pictures, they're exactly the same. Yeah, see, a pig would be fun, right? Pigs are smart, though. So I wonder if they get lonely. I wonder if you got to get a second pig.
Well, that's when you just bring the pig in the house.
You get bored of the pig, got yourself a nice meal.
Exactly.
Well, you know?
You're set.
Got some nice hooves.
Just leave the oven open. Oops.
Just what?
I don't know
how big's your oven. How small is your pig? I don't think I could cook I think it would be morally easier for me to cook a large pig in a massive oven than cook like a baby little pig in like a microwave.
All right, cut it. Roasted baby pigs here on the Noclip podcast.
Weird podcast this week. Danny just talked about farmyard animals for 10 minutes to get over the fact that he didn't play any games this week. Let's jump into. I mean, Jesse brought it up, so let's go towards the action movie sort of spectrum, the Arnold Schwarzenegger verse. I feel like, even though Arnie's not actually in this movie, RoboCop Rogue City. You played it, Frank. One of us finally played it. This one came out. There was a demo for it a couple months back, and I watched video of it, and I was like, oh, I'm going to download that demo. Downloaded that demo. And then like a week later, I went to play the demo, and they were like, nope, demo's gone.
Oh, wow.
I had it downloaded, and they were like, no, sorry, bro, doesn't, we've closed this batch. So RoboCop Rogue City looked like, I don't know, I feel like we are used to the licensed video game of a property of this sort of scale that just ends up being a real 6 out of 10. Real, like, just who cares? A lot of scuttlebutt about this one when the demo came out, that it was actually like pretty cool. How much have you played, and where does it land for you, Frank Howley?
Yeah, it's I feel like I was looking at the trophy data, and I think I'm on like the 4th mission out of 8 already. But I think I've already put like maybe 4 hours into the game. So this is by the same studio that did Terminator Resistance, which came out in 2019 and was surprising how authentic and good it was for it being a licensed game. Like this team, they really care about these 80s action movies and really do it justice. And so, yeah, like playing this, it definitely feels like a B game or like an Xbox 360 game where the scale is very light, but it's very charming. It's very, very charming. It's like, I don't know. It's so funny. I started playing the game. The funny thing to note is compared to any other first person shooter is RoboCop is slow as shit. He's a tank. Like it's like, and also when you move, it makes these giant metal clangs of him walking. So much so that you can go into the audio options and reduce the footstep sound effects.
No way.
But to make up for it is your character is a tank. You can take a ton of damage, and the enemies you shoot in this game, it's like playing Virtua Cop or like Area 51, those old like Time Crisis, like you can still move around the environment, but because you move so slow, you are just blasting away criminals. And it's very like tongue-in-cheek, almost like Bulletstorm, where body parts will fly away, their heads explode. You can pick people up and chuck them like across the room.
Crisis style?
Yes. It's very goofy. So it's a very goofy game. But again, just like Paul Verhoeven's movie, where it's like, oh, this is very silly, satirical. And like, so the combat parts of it are like fun and enjoyable. It feels like playing GoldenEye, like at the N64 game, where it's like, okay, like they nailed the source material. I don't know what else I would expect. This feels good. the thing that kind of sucks is outside of like the shooty levels is you're doing like LA Noire Robocop, where you'll get these weird missions where it's like, Robocop, there's been a suspect murdered. I will investigate. And you have to like go around. I always call it Witcher vision. You have to go around in like your detective vision to find
like green
clues,
highlights
blood
around
trails.
stuff.
I'm like, yeah, and it's like, okay, this is boring. But if they didn't have that, the game would be 4 hours long. But there's parts of the game where that's funny. Like the second.
This is answering a very important. This is like a key question that I had, because somebody posted a gameplay clip of basically what you just described, and I was like, how the fuck do you pace this game? Because all it was like a 30-second clip of Robocop slowly walking through this room and just murdering just like 15 people, and he's just like points a gun, bang, their head's gone. Points the gun, bang, their leg's gone. And he's just like, I was just like, how do you, like, there's no searching for cover, there was no like worried when you're reloading. He was just fucking destroying everyone. I was like, is this just going to be like a 3-hour game? So that's how they padded it out, was that they added in a bunch of Witcher vision stuff.
It's like the second mission is Robocop investigates the local arcade because drug dealers are selling nuke to kids. But it's like funny. It's surprisingly funny. And so you go to the arcade and you do your RoboVision on the kids, and it's like, subject has fatigue, subject missing school, subject stayed up all night, and it's like the kids are doing drugs. So you shoot up the arcade 80s. And you're killing drug dealers, and it's like very narc, very like, and again, a big thing is like they kept the timeline where it's like it's 1980s cyberpunk, so it's like your Robocop is reviewing evidence on a VCR. There's CRT TVs, like everything is 80s Detroit, but that kind of like future cyberpunk style. So it's like, it actually works. And the dialogue is, again, pretty funny, pretty like contradicting, where it's like you're a weapon of justice, where it's like ultimately you're gonna murder everybody, but it's like you're collecting clues, so it's kind of catching the like irony of everything. You even have an option, like someone needs help with something, like something was stolen from them, and you do this mission, and then at the end of the day you find out that like they stole like a watch from somebody, so you can arrest the person who gave you the quest in the first place, and it just hauls them away in a police car, and it's like, mission accomplished, you supported the side of justice. So it's like, the game is funny. So yeah, it's like, but again, it's also a thing where it's like, it's fun, and then after an hour I'm like, okay, I've had enough of this. So it's good in small doses. They still released it as like a full price game. I think it's like $60 on PS5, which is very surprising. I mean, this feels like a $40 game.
I noticed. I know. Yeah. I just Googled it because you mentioned that, and I was like, it is $50 on Steam, unless you buy the RoboCop Rogue City Alex Murphy edition, which costs $10 more. Not quite sure. I guess you get the Alex Murphy pack, which includes what looks like a gun, a shiny suit, and like the original RoboCop looking suit, I think, and something else.
Yeah.
Murphy. So what are you playing it on, and how does it? Because the screenshots and the videos I've seen on the PC versions, it looks like pretty sick. Actually, what are you playing it on?
Yeah, I'm playing it on PS5, and I don't think I've noticed any like slowdowns or anything. The game has really impressive physics. I mean, like, it's not extremely detailed, but like I was just doing a mission where you can shoot over like a wall. And reveal enemies, like reveal cover, which is very impressive.
Like shoot through?
Yeah, like, and it's like blasting away the wall, like it's very thin, like, which reminds me of like Crisis Zone, which is one of those time crises from like 2003, but like that was or even like Metal Gear Solid 2, where it's like, you shoot stuff and things are falling, and it's. Can
you just say we've mentioned Crisis Zone, Time Crisis, and Crisis. In reference to this game.
Yeah.
Crisis.
It's like the game developers got like just the C book in the dictionary for game design, and they were like, let's just
again, it's just, I don't know, it's maybe there's a part of my brain where it's like, these are the games I liked and it was rooted 10 years ago or 20 years ago, but it's great. Like, it's not, I don't know, like, that's why I'm impressed. It's like, as I was playing this, I was like, at first I was kind of disappointed, and then I was like, wait, I don't know what else I would expect from a RoboCop game. Okay, yeah, they're actually nailing the assignment. So it's like they kind of set the bar low but then exceeded it. So but the arcade mission won me over, where it's like, this is straight up after school crap. Kids, you shouldn't be doing nuke. Where did you get the nuke? And it's that. You really are RoboCop straight up is saying that. You should stay in school. Like, you should do your homework. Or you have options, like dialogue trees. And like, some are very narky, some are very like anti-law, some are neutral. And it's like, I don't know. It's another thing too, is like, one of the most surprising things is there's one mission later, you're in like a junkyard, and a bunch of bikers come on motorcycles, and you can, as someone drives by, you can grab them off their motorcycle, throw that guy at another biker, and then their motorcycles just explode. And every single shooting environment is filled with red barrels.
When you pick that guy up on the motorbike, are you picking up him or the motorbike?
Just him, but you can grab the motorcycle separately and haul a giant motorcycle.
I wish you could pick up both at once. That'd be awesome.
That's the one thing they didn't do. But you can pick up dumpsters. You can pick. It's like, it's very silly. But yeah, that's the thing, is like the detective stuff is so dry, but to the point where it's funny, and they think they know how funny it is. Like, there's a mission where a gas station clerk is complaining because teenage rats outside are blasting hip hop on the boombox.
Oh my god!
So you have an option to tell the kids to like lower the volume, or you can destroy
their radio. Oh yeah, I saw that
radio.
clip. He just like does the Johnny Bravo arm and smashes it.
Really?
Yeah. And it's like, all right, everything is fine here. Go home now. Like, again, like Robocop's an asshole, and he thinks he's a good boy, that's exactly the movies are like. And I think they got Peter Weller and everything.
Oh,
so
it's actually Peter Weller. That's so cool.
So yeah, it's like
that's amazing.
So they did a good job. I don't know if there's going to be more twists as it goes, but it's and then weirdly enough, there are like skill trees you can level up. You get XP for doing everything, so you can level up your gun. You can level up like I don't know, like armor, deduction, so you can see more clues on the map. Persuasion, like it's very. I don't know. It doesn't impact gameplay that much, but it's there.
Persuasion in a Robocop game. Weird.
According to How Long to Beat, they've only pulled 6 people, but they say somewhere around 9-10 hours for the main story, a couple more hours for main story and extras. So yeah, it sounds interesting. It sounds like the type of game I might wait to see if it drops in a sale and then kind of pick it. It's kind of evergreen, it's Robocop, and it's not. It doesn't seem particularly like I need to play it right now. It's not exactly prescient, although maybe it is. Who knows? That's Robocop Rogue City, available on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. Looks like. Jesse, you played a game that we have been flirting with talking about for weeks, and it was the one game that this week I was saying, okay, I've got 5 minutes. Maybe I can go download this on my Steam Deck. And just play a little bit of it, and that'll be enough to, I played a bit of Alan Wake this week, actually, now that I think about it. I got a bit further.
You did game.
I did. I had to come clean. I literally forgot that I did, but I did. Game is scary. But this is the one that I was really wanting to give it a go. This is the climbing game that I think Jeremy mentioned a number of weeks ago called Jusant. It's made by Don't Not, which is the French developer / publisher of many sort of games of indie fare. We've talked about over the years. Life is Strange is probably the thing they're most known for, which they published but didn't develop, I believe. I could be wrong,
Life is Strange? No, they developed that one.
Did they develop that as well? Okay, fair enough. Jusant,
yes.
Tell me about it. How is it? How does it play? How good is it?
Yeah, Jusant is a third-person mountain climbing game, and that is in a literal sense. It's not like you are just doing the sort of climbing that you would see in even, Breath of the Wild, the latest Zelda games. This is a literal, each hand is a button on the controller kind of climbing game. There haven't been a lot like that. There was an indie game that Ubisoft developed and published called, it was under their weird
Climb
indie
Up
label.
Or something?
Grow Up and Grow Home.
Grow Up, yes.
Which is a very funny thing that you could say both those game names to any gamer and it sounds like an insult. Grow Up and Grow Home.
Absolutely loved them. Yeah, they
were great games. Yeah. They were like one of my first like big love indie games, So I was really excited for this one because I like the idea of tactile climbing. I feel like whenever you play any AAA or AA game where climbing is an element, it's something that's kind of not an afterthought, but it's not made overly tactile, because if it was, the rest of the gameplay would be completely, like the pacing would be so off. So I'm always excited when I get to play something that does make you think about the action of climbing, both in the button presses that you're doing, but also like how you have to keep track of your stamina, because this game has a stamina meter. So to explain Jusant, basically you start at the bottom of this gigantic tower of stone, and it's your goal, at least from what you can tell, to climb to the top of it. You have this companion with you in a backpack that's called a ballast, and it's like a little water creature who, after a little while, once you reach the end of what was the demo, you get the creature on your shoulder, and you can start using them to sort of activate the wildlife and plant life that's on the mountain as you continue to climb. And so gameplay wise, what you're doing is, just climbing the mountain, grabbing onto footholds, grabbing onto bits of rock, and it's using a procedural animation system so that while you're trying to climb, it's not like little animations are happening and it's not like pre-programmed. You are literally, you use the control stick and move it up to the right, and the hand that you're trying to grab onto that's not currently holding something goes up to the right. So it's very tactile. It feels very good to pull things off. And I've never done any mountain climbing. I have no experience doing that personally. I am excited by the idea of it because it seems very scary, but also like, I don't want to fall to my death. I just started watching, actually, because I finished Jusant, I started watching Free Solo, which is awesome, by the way. I'm only halfway through it, but it's so good.
Alex Honnold's still alive, so we're good.
Yeah. Oh, dude, spoilers. I didn't know he made it in the end.
Wait, did I literally spoil that for you?
No, I'm kidding.
Okay. I was like, I assumed because it's quite an old movie that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Phew.
Come on, man. No, it's Jusant is just, I don't know. It inspired me to watch a movie about climbing a mountain. So that's usually, I don't watch a lot of documentaries.
So when you do it with the ballast, you said it like activates flora and fauna or something in the world. Is that stuff that you then like climb, or is it like, is there some other reason why you're doing it?
I'm trying to like skirt things, man, because there's stuff that's happened in this that's a little spoilery. But I will say, because it's right at the end of the demo, which was like 30 minutes, so I don't feel too bad saying it. But once you get access to the ballast, when you notice in the world there are areas you kind of can't reach, like just by climbing and holding onto rocks. There is sort of like flowers and things that you're like, I must be able to do something with this. I've played a video game before. And you hit the button and you're like, oh, it does something. And it's pretty cool when it happens. Nice. Yeah, I think Jusant is just like a really beautiful video game. It's beautiful to look at, especially, by the way. I think it's one of the first Unreal Engine 5 games using the Lumen lighting system. It might be Unreal 4.5. Yeah. But when you turn up the settings, I mean, it's, as soon as you look at a picture of it, you can see the lighting, the way it plays into things. I was playing on medium settings at first, and I was like, let me crank it up. I got a good computer. And it looks, when you see the lighting, the way the light bounces off of the rock and off of plants, and the sunlight, the way it hits things, is just really impressive. To get into the story of Jusant, I think would be tough, because it is one of those indie games that doesn't really have a plot. It's kind of just, you are doing the gameplay and to learn about the world, which clearly you can tell from the fact that there's no water, no life, nothing. Something bad has happened, and you're trying to figure out what that was while still trying to reach the top of the mountain. But there is this sense of, like, without spoiling the plot of it and what the sort of theme of the game is, there's this sense of like attachment to nature, both in the sense of like metaphorically, like you're trying to connect with the world and trying to be more in touch with what's going on and caring about things, but also I think the tactility of the climbing and the way that it makes you think about the environment on the fly and how you can use the creatures in the area and the flowers that you find to sort of explore the environment more efficiently. It's just really, really well communicated. I think for a game that has no words, has very little plot, if you're not going out of your way to find the narrative things.
French indie developer tactic there.
Dude, indie game in general, man. They're all about the end of the world and you got to read some notebooks, right? But there's just something about it. The way they do it, it feels really, really great. And it's a story that has been done a bunch, but is presented in a way that I think it's extremely existentially terrifying. If you have any degree of care for the world, it's playing this game is like.
But the story is definitely secondary, though, right? You're mostly playing to sort of experience the the evolving mechanics and all that. How do those mechanics like change? Like you mentioned, obviously this ballast thing sort of comes into it. Are you doing like a lot of pitching or anything? Like putting, I think Jeremy mentioned that you could like put like little metal stakes in and they can help. Or are you doing any like, is it like physicsy in the like, oh, I need to put one here so I can like swing this way, or how, does it, by the end of the game, are you doing stuff that you're kind of like, would have been hard at the start?
Very early on, actually, you're doing stuff that's pretty tough. They let the tutorial ride, in my opinion, a little too long, where they like keep helping you and reminding you of things. But by the time they take the sort of hands off the wheel and let you go on your own, go free solo, it's you notice pretty quickly that you do have to think about what you're doing on the fly and also using the mechanics. So there's not a whole lot to it. Like I said, you're just using your left trigger to move your left hand, right trigger to use your right hand. You can hold them to hold a grip onto something. But then there's also, I think they call them pittons. I don't know what the word is. I'm still learning climbing stuff. Where basically, you can hammer a hook into the wall and then it acts as sort of a checkpoint for your climbing. So you don't lose your place if you lose grip. There's a lot of moments where you have to jump between things. There's like a double jump you can do off of the wall. And they're risky, but they can save you a lot of time. And if your stamina is running low and you're feeling a little less confident in your path, then you can use those. But also, again, if you don't have something in the wall because you weren't thinking about it, then you lose your space. So you kind of have to think about what you're doing. And again, it's on the fly. You don't get to like research a path. You don't get to look up and there's not like a line of like, go this way. A lot of times there's actually moments where it feels like maybe you're missing out on collectibles because the paths are so forked and there's so many ways to go up. But ultimately, I think if you approach it just trying to get to the end, and if you want to get the extra stuff, it's really easy to go back and do it. But if you just approach it like, I want to get to the top of this path, I'm not going to think too hard about, am I missing something? Just focus on the journey. I think this game is phenomenal, especially because with the climbing mechanics, there's one thing that you do not too often, but when you do it, it feels amazing. There would be moments where you're climbing, you're holding onto rocks, you've got your hands in place, you're like, I don't know how to advance. How do I go forward? And then you remember one of the mechanics that you have.
Oh, cool.
One of them being the put it in the wall, let go. So you're hanging on the little rope that you've got. And then you can use the physics to sort of pendulum swing along the wall and grab onto. And like when you do that, you're like, I'm basically Alex Holland. It's me. Or Holland, sorry.
Because you're like, there's no, that's not you just going to the next step. That's you creating the step yourself almost. Like it's such a.
There's no marker.
How does the, I like games like Assassin's Creed where sometimes I get like the willies, right? Where I'm like on the top of a building and you crane the camera and you're like, Jesus, that's high, right? I feel like I haven't felt that way in a game in a little while. Some of the screenshots on this look pretty intense. Like how close are you to falling in this game? Do you fall ever and then your pitch catches you and does it have that sense of vertigo that you get that you would in real life, I guess?
I think the last time I felt that way was playing Assassin's Creed Origins, climbing the walls in Egypt. And that was definitely, but this game doesn't really have that. It is a little nicer in its climbing. It is still very much a French narrative indie game. So you don't fall off of things and lose your progress. When you go to climb onto something, you automatically get a thing in the wall. You don't have to do it manually. So it saves you a lot of the time. You don't want to lose your progress. And I would admit it would be pretty frustrating if that happened more than ever. But yeah, I think there are moments, especially closer to the end, where I was like, okay, this needs to settle down because I'm getting a little terrified. Like, not moments where like something scary happens, but yeah, just that sense of like, I'm going to fall off. Like I cannot believe I'm doing this. Yeah, the intensity. It's the perfect word to use for it. Very intense the closer you get to the end of the game. I think this is one of the like best indie games of the year. No question.
Excellent. Okay. Now I want to play it even more. God damn it. Jusant, available. Is this a Steam only situation?
This is Steam, PS5, Xbox, and it is on Game Pass. Great. Shout outs to Game Pass.
Oh, okay. It's on Game Pass. Oh, look, Frank Kelly just got activated.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. I might give it I was going to play Steam Deck. Maybe I guess I have to Game Pass it now. That's it done. Awesome. Robocop, Rogue City, and Jusant. I know we're playing a bunch of other stuff. We're chipping away at our Game of the Year bits and bobs here. Frank, you've played a bunch, which is pretty cool to see. Let's put that to one side, as we're going to probably do a lot of that in the next couple of basically all of December. Was there anything in particular? Actually, have you played a bit more Alan Wake? Was there anything about that stands out, or we covered it off pretty well last week?
No, yeah, I mean, I feel like, yeah, see, now it's in the territory, I guess we'll have to save it, because now it's in the territory, I don't want to spoil anything, but like, one of the campaign features, you do play as Alan Wake and the other character, and I got to the part where you can basically choose who you want to play at any given time, and I wasn't quite sure how that mechanic would work, because I got to an area, and it's like, all right, switch to the other campaign. I thought it would let me play as Alan Wake in that person's area. Right. Instead, Alan Wake was somewhere completely different. And the thing I experienced was like, okay, this is fucking cool. So it's the kind of thing where I started playing. I put a few hours in Alan Wake. Like, okay, I think I get what this game is. And then every time I pick it up, every time I start a new chapter, I'm like, oh, it's like every area is something totally different. Like, So it sounds dumb to say, but it's
Dude, you guys sold me on it, by the way. The podcast that you recorded last week, where you were talking about just like obviously very surface level. We can't get into it. There's stuff I'd love to talk about. I'm not very far into it myself.
Yeah, that's some Game of the Year chat right there,
dude. Yeah. Like I want to talk about the crime board, but I don't want to get into it. You know,
there's a lot there. I didn't get to play much this week, but there's been a bunch of like crazy news going on. There was a big exodus from the Escapist.
Yeah.
A bunch of people they've had a weird run of it. Nick Calandra over there is the EIC. He was in charge of, he had his YouTube channel, which was somewhat inspired by the work we do called Gamumentary that he ran for a couple of years. They did a bunch of game docs that would sort of, then they did one on Divinity. They did a couple of other ones. Some of that got sort of brought over into the Escapist YouTube channel. I think Nick sort of like just centralized it there after he closed Gamumentary. They had, I think it was Enthusiast Gamer owned them for a while, which seemed like they didn't really know. From what I knew, that was a fairly young group of guys who maybe didn't really know what they were doing with their portfolio. They eventually sold to some crowd in Australia. And weirdly enough, I heard like conversations in a totally different part of the industry about these guys basically shopping the name around, saying like, you know, I think they might have had publishers. That investor company might also be publishing games. And they were talking about how, oh, you know, we've got this, we own all of this media property too, so we can utilize it to like talk about our games and all this sort of stuff. I got a weird sense of it. And then I guess the news broke earlier this week that they had, I think, fired a bunch of the staff. I think Nick Calandra was fired. I think a bunch of other ones did. And then essentially the rest of the crowd over there, most of them, which I think is mostly, you know, I think they're all distributed contributors. You know, there's a gentleman in Ireland who does film reviews for them. Yahtzee Crawshaw, of course, who does all of the zero punctuation stuff, which largely seemed like the sort of main...
It was the bedrock of the Escapist. Let's be honest. It was
like it kind of always has been at this.
Yeah.
You know, Escapist used to do. I mean, Escapist had a lot of weird eras. Escapist had like a weird Gamergate era for a while. They had a weird like.
They did. They had a Movie Bob era. That's right. Yeah, they were.
But over the past couple of years, it seems like they've like garnered a lot of respected viewer. I know Jack Packer from Red Letter Media has been over there doing some stuff. And people seem to, I don't think they have a huge audience, but it seemed like they've, you know, I think Yahtzee does, but it seemed like people were really respecting what they were doing. Obviously, I suspect, as is always the case with media properties, these things don't often make much money / make money at all. And when I was looking at the Escapists, I was kind of like, oh, like this is probably a lot of contractors. They, you know, they can cut them off at any moment type of thing. And so in a way, I'm not that surprised. But just because I'm a cynic who's worked in the media for long enough, and I know that this stuff just fucking happens, and you have to, you know, it's a nightmare. But it was very cool to see so many of them, including Zero Punctuation Zone, Yahtzee, basically decide to walk out in protest as well, or to quit in protest. So they've started something new. It's called, I believe, is it Second Wind? I want to say.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I think it's called Second. Sorry, this all happened while I was off Twitter for the past couple of days. So this all sort of happened. I just want to make sure I get the name right. I think it's called Second Wind. Yeah, Second Wind. So if you're interested in the work that they do, I just wanted to make a note of mentioning it. They are patreon.com/Second Wind Group, it looks like. They have a YouTube channel up where they had, I think it was Nick and Yahtzee doing their little live stream just talking about it. Sounds like it's pretty, I don't know how last minute this whole thing was. It sounded like this all happened pretty quick. So I just wanted to mention that. I also wanted to mention, have you guys seen this Boogie documentary?
I've heard about it.
Frank, you got to watch that on stream. I have not watched all of it. I watched the first 10, 15 minutes. I cannot believe.
Rough watching. Yeah. It is something else. I literally just got a text from somebody about it I was going to talk about it anyway, and I literally just got a text about it as well, saying like, this is, Christ, I won't say who sent it, it's a friend of mine. Christ, that Boogie documentary is one of the most depressing things I've seen in ages. It is wild. It's called The Dark Sad Life of Boogie2988 official documentary. It's on Mike Klum's YouTube channel, who I don't know who this gentleman is. It's his first video he's put up. Presumably he's a filmmaker or working in some aspect of games. I literally couldn't tell you. He was embedded with Boogie for, I think it was 6 months. He says it at the top, for like 6 months or something. Had access to all of his financial records, had access to him, and like I don't want to spoil anything in this, and I'm doing that thing where I'm laughing because it's awful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm not laughing because it's funny. Like
No,
actually,
there's no other way to react to it. It's just like nervous laughter.
It's crazy, and I've met Boogie. I've socialized with
him. You lost trending gamer to him.
I did. We were both nominated as trending gamers at the Game Awards back in 2016. It might have been. I think it was right after Noclip launched, and he won. And afterwards, I got dinner with him, his then wife. They've since been divorced. And a couple of other friends, Johnny Vignacchi, who folks in the Giant Bomb community will know. And he was a perfectly nice dude. I've never known anything else about him otherwise. He seemed like he was a nice guy. I'd met him at a couple of conventions over the years as well, just like said hi to him. You'd always kind of notice him around. He's a fairly unique looking gentleman. And he always, over the years, the crowds around him got bigger. I remember seeing him at like a State of Play one time, and he was just on his own. And then like seeing him at something else a while later, and he had a bunch of people around him. He's had a wild couple of years. He lost a bunch of weight. He got like a bunch of like work done. So he kind of looks a bit different to how he used to look as well. And the documentary, obviously he's gone through a divorce. I guess the thing I didn't realize is that he invested hard into crypto in a way that when maybe he had his wife doing his financial work, this wouldn't have been an issue. But once he got his hands on the reins, it all started going really bad real soon. So it's at least I'm the same as you, Jesse. I watched the first 25 minutes and I had to turn it off.
You have to put it down.
Anxiety. Yeah, it was
like watching a TLC documentary, like Extreme Cheapskates or something. You're like, I can't stop looking at this, but I need to stop looking at this.
It's so you're waiting for the this is how bad it got, and then
it gets better, and it just hasn't happened yet,
and it keeps getting worse. And it's like it's so, and like outside of the financial stuff, there's a lot like they interview sex workers. Like it is
that story.
It's nuts, and how
the FBI couldn't have got that out of me,
and everything is what like how did they shoot this B-roll? Like what the like it's a fuck. You should go watch it. Like. You should go watch it. It is. I wanted to mention it because obviously with a lot of people who are fans of video game documentaries, this is not necessarily within the scope of Noclip's work. I'll say that. It's really cool. It's the type of thing as well that like it makes me want to like let's just do one documentary one year. Let's just do one really good one where we get to like embed and like spend time on it. So yeah, I don't know if it eventually has like a better arc to it or something, but. Just I guess a warning to let you know that it goes some places. I wonder if it touches upon, I haven't seen it yet, but I know there was an issue, but there was this guy who was like stalking him and turning up at his house and stuff with, I think he had a gun as well. I think he was a YouTuber or maybe a TikTok guy or something, or a streamer, I'm not sure. But he had like a beef with Boogie, and I saw I think it was like a restraining order. There was a video I saw where he turned up at Boogie's house and he was like worried for his life. I'm not sure if that gets into it either, but... Yeah. The Dark, Sad Life of Boogie2988. Sorry, if you don't know who Boogie is. I
don't know.
Realize.
Everyone knows Boogie2988. Come on.
If you see,
no, I'm kidding.
If you don't know who he is, Google the name and you'll probably go, oh yeah, that guy.
Oh, he's the guy who got mad and broke a table. Oh, he's the guy.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, all right.
He had a character called Francis that he used to do on YouTube who was like a sort of a rotund angry gamer was the sort of like angle he was going for. But he also parlayed that into a fairly successful YouTube career that was doing like other types of critiques outside of Francis. Obviously not necessarily the case anymore, but who knows? Off the back of this thing, it's been up a couple of... when did it go up? It went up last week. It's got 1.5 million views now. So it's really, from what I've watched, it's very compelling documentary work, and I think it's worth your time. From what I've seen, 55 minutes long. So, it doesn't overstay its welcome, but it's me and Jesse both experienced it as a white knuckle white knuckle ride for the emotions. So you have been warned. Frank, we got some correspondence from the wonderful people of the Noclip community.
Yeah, I was going to mention up top. Did we thank our Battle Pass holders?
We didn't.
We didn't. Thank you so much, Frank Howley, and thank you so much to all of the folks who support us on patreon.com/noclip, including, actually, Frank Howley. Do you want to read them out this week?
Yeah,
Let's do it. All right.
All right, shout out to our wonderful Battle Pass holders. Thank you for being patient. Battle Royale games. Thank you, Arno. Richard Matherson.
Sure, no, what do you mean? Run with it.
Yeah. Arno.
I don't even know how I was going to do James Brown. Anyways, Jason Drew, or whatever. Yeah. Thank you, Jesse. Mark Rojas, Ryan Corn on the Cob. Trucker.
This is awesome. This is awesome. Keep going.
Trucker Morgan, Crimson Cyclist, Ben Hooster, Tim Robinson, Forrest Pruitt, Andy Fegan, Darren Birmingham, Eric Hamilton. I know it's like Saturday Night Live. Eric Hamilton Schneider, Cameron Ladd, Alex Sharp, Alex Guichet, George Sikotis, Jacob Godserve, James Andrew Adams, Toy here, Tiliev, and Ryson.
I got a DM from Tucker Morgan, one of our Battle Pass holders, saying, wanted to let you know that my nickname in high school was Trucker, so I might be the one with the most trucker energy. So we did put that out there last week. Which one of ours was most likely to be a trucker? Trucker Morgan, we should maybe call them for the next.
Just moving on with that one.
Trucker Morgan did not send in a message, but it looks like Grandma Max did.
Yes, Grandma Max. Question for Danny and the other guys too. You mentioned in the last podcast that you've been playing Mars Golf on mobile. Are there any other games you might recommend for mobile? I've always avoided mobile games due to the horrific amounts of ads, pay-to-play mechanics. I'd rather just buy them. Would love to hear suggestions of quality mobile games.
Yeah. Golf on Mars is the name of the game that I play. It's the sequel to Desert Golfing, if you ever remember that one. It's a very basic, physics-based. You use your finger to basically play golf. It's 2D, but it's just incredibly sharply well designed. The guy who makes these games, I need to look up his name. I think I've talked about this before. He has made a bunch of games over the years that I have stumbled into and thought that is so smart. And I think I'd love to do a documentary on him. Is it Captain Games is the name? I forget. So he also worked on a game. There's another game that I like to play on my phone called No Brakes Valet, which is a sort of a top-down. It's one of these like parking games that used to play back in the 90s, but there's no brakes, so you just have to like turn the car while it's slowing down and try and get it in. That's another good one. He made a game called, it's something Bear 3000. Is it the Legend of Bear 3000?
Enviro Bear, okay.
Do you remember Enviro Bear 2000? Yeah, so
I believe
he also made, is it Justin Smith is this guy's name? He's a Canadian developer. I think Golf on Mars is him too. I might be crazy. If I go to his Twitter, yeah, he did.
You got it, yeah.
Man Bear Car is his, I follow him on Twitter. He did Enviro Bear, Desert Golfing, and Freeways. I don't think I've played that. Captain-games.com is his, he's got a game called Hockey Island here, which just has oh my god, it's a hockey game. It's a top-down hockey game, but the player characters are the shapes of the countries they're from.
Oh my god.
So there you go. In terms of other mobile games, do you have any, Jesse?
Oh, tons. Well, actually, I've been playing a lot of mobile games over the last year and change, mostly because if you have a Netflix subscription, you get access to a ton of really, really good indie games. And when I say good indie games, I don't mean like gotcha stuff. I mean like real, you don't have to spend $15 a month indie games. You've got stuff like Leia's Horizon, which is from the Odyssey. What are they called? I don't remember the exact name, but they're like these really classic 2D surfboarding or snowboarding games. They were really, really good. Cool. Leia's Horizon is like a 3D version of that. Check that one out. Super underrated. Came out this year. Great game. Immortality's on Netflix as well. Check that out.
Oh, funny.
Point B is on there. You need to play Point P. If you have a phone, please. It's from the developer of Downwell. Point P. Poinpy. This is,
Point P.
I shit you not, maybe the third or fourth best indie game that came out last year, and nobody played it because it's on Netflix and you have to play it on your phone. It sounds made up. It sounds like I'm lying to you, but it sounds
like a Mad Lib sentence and an AI spat out or something.
But it's really, really good. It's like a platforming, one of those old iPhone games you'd get that cost like, $0 and had a million ads and broke your phone. But now it's good, and it's made by a developer who's incredibly well regarded for Downwell and now Point B.
Hey, Jesse.
Yes.
I am going to... This is going to be a real, like, your fucking dad is calling to help with the modem situation. I've got my Netflix open on my phone right here.
Okay.
How the fuck do I download Point
Is there
B?
not a games thing at the bottom of the...
My Netflix. I'm going to hit, okay, son, I'm hitting my Netflix.
Dude, I do this all the time with my uncle. Try your best.
There's a download section. There's continue watching.
If you go to downloads, is it there? It's different on everyone's app from what I've seen. And every device.
Okay, there's a menu at the top. How about that? No, account, manage profiles, home. Let's go back to home. For Danny.
Yeah, try scrolling
Movies.
for a bit on home as well.
Categories. Available for download. Is it just games, maybe?
I was never able to find just a games category. The way that Netflix has done it is so bad.
Mobile games. Here we are.
Hey, there you go.
My list. Okay.
And then also you can't search. Which is
browse
weird.
games. Oh yeah, okay. So I think if I go browse games, it just spits me back to the home screen. This is a nightmare.
Yeah, it's awful.
Love is Blind Netflix stories. Probably don't want to buy that. Football Manager 2024 is on here. Dead Cells Netflix edition.
Yes,
that's
actually.
That's a bizarre collection
TMNT
of words.
Shredder's Revenge is on there.
Really?
Wow. Yeah.
Solitaire is on here. World of Goo Remastered. Terra Neil was on this.
Yeah,
I did not
launched
know that.
on Terra. Yeah, launched on Netflix. Yeah,
that's a great game. So what's really annoying is I can't actually just go to the game before Your Eyes and Oxenfree is on here. I can't I'm just scrolling.
Yeah,
through them. Into the Breach is on here.
Yep.
This has become a fucking ad for Netflix. We should get money for them for this. Rains. God, I remember Rains. I used to play loads of Rains. Cats and Soup. What's the game I'm looking for again? Point B?
Yeah.
I'm just going to go, I'm going to type
just
Point
see what
B
happens.
into the search bar for the movies as well and see what happens. Point B.
Does that work?
Came up.
That must work.
Get game.
Hey, there you go.
Download any game just from the app. Okay, hit continue.
And then it takes you to the App Store. And then you hit download. And let me know when the wheel's done spinning. No, I'm just kidding.
Your mother wants to talk to you when I'm finished,
that's always how it goes. Something's loading and it's just like, so how's school? It's like, I graduated a while ago.
Oh, man.
Okay, so literally it just did you're right, like the App Store, a little button came up at the bottom saying get, as opposed to download, I guess, or whatever. And then now it's just like straight up downloading at the bottom there. And then it just, I guess, when I log in, do I have to log into Netflix when I open the app?
I think there's a pop-up that
just
it tells you were logged into the app and the Netflix app and it just pulls it from there. Okay. Yeah, and it is.
We figured it out together, folks. Thank you, son. I love you.
Okay,
we'll
gotta
talk
go.
Again.
Okay,
see you at Thanksgiving.
Okay, all right. Don't say anything racist next time. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Plunk. Yeah, but what? Yeah.
Love
Point
that.
B.
Yeah,
I'm gonna check that out. Yeah, literally, I've downloaded it right now. The only other game I wanted to mention was Balls with a Z, which is the most lo-fi ass. My friend Dale got me to download it. It's just fucking like. It's just like a what do you call this, brick breaker? What's it called?
Oh,
again?
okay.
I just got DoorDash thing. Like a big ball breaking, like a brick breaking game.
Oh, fun! Like Arkanoid and whatever.
Super addictive. Yeah. It's good. Balls with a Z. So there you go. There you go, Grandma Max. Enjoy your Netflix games.
Good luck downloading them. Apparently.
Exactly.
Liam asks, has there ever been a time where a game in terms of story or gameplay has been right up your alley, but its appearance has pushed you away even after trying to get used to it? I can imagine people bouncing off Oberdin, Cruelty Squad, etc. for this reason.
That's Valorant, weirdly.
Really?
I don't know why.
Oh, yeah.
You hate anime, huh? Anything even adjacent.
I watched, I watched Spirited Away with my daughter a couple weeks ago. That was good. That's, But for whatever reason, when it comes to games, like Hi-Fi Rush I enjoyed, and I enjoyed that maybe for the anime stuff, but for whatever reason, Valorant, it's just like my brain has wired my head, so shooters of that ilk need to look like Counter-Strike 1.6. Like that's just, it just looks, weirds to me. What about you guys? Is there any ones? This is a tricky one to sort of like conjure up.
the thing I think of is like, for whatever reason, Gears of War, its aesthetic is so like big, meaty, and ugly that I've never clicked with. Like, I don't know. Gears of War 5 did have brighter environments, but like those OG Gears of War, the third person cover snap shooting feels so good, but like it's just ugly. It's such an ugly ass. It's so gross. I think you just love that 360 era. But yeah, that's a thing where I've tried to play 1 through 3 and 4 and Judgment, all those, and like I've always bounced off them. But Gears 5 Horde mode was finally the one that clicked, but I think it was like just way more colorful than that 360 era.
That's funny. I've never really clicked with the Final Fantasy like aesthetic. I feel like if I liked that aesthetic more, then I would play those games more, and then maybe that's why a lot of people play them. Or you
seem like one of those guys who would have been really into Dirge of Cerberus, the Final Fantasy VII spin-off game. Like,
oh my god, Dirge of Cerberus. Dirge of Cerberus. That fucking word. That collection of words. It's not quite Dead Cells Netflix edition, but it's very It's
up there with Strangers of Paradise for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. What about any for you, Jesse? Any
I like the uglier the better. If there's no coherence. Although the one, and I was trying to think about it while you guys were talking, I was looking through my Steam list. I'm like, there has to be something. And I saw Street Fighter 6, and I love how Street Fighter 6 looks. And then I was like, you know what I really hate? How Street Fighter 5 looks.
Oh yeah, that's it.
I really don't like how Street Fighter 5 looks.
And people really liked Street Fighter 4 because they sort of nailed the whole Street Fighter in 3D thing. And you're right. I think 5 felt.
People just hated 5 anyway, but it especially looks.
Yeah, that's true.
Really weird.
It just shows you it's a matter of inches, just nailing that stuff in. Because like if you looked at screenshots of like all those games, they don't look all that. Stylistically, they look fairly common, or there's a lot of commonality.
Yeah.
But in motion, they give you such a different feeling. I'm trying to think of other. It's funny how like there's a lot of games that like I feel like I had to grow into or something. It's funny because we're doing the Return to Monkey Island one, and I remember Tearaway was a game that I aesthetically, kind of like Little Big Planet, right? And we interview Rex Crowell in this interview, who was the art director at Media Molecule for a lot of this. Those games were so different looking that I was resistant to it for a long time. And then Little Big Planet definitely won me over. And then Tearaway was a whole other way of looking at games, and my brain just couldn't deal with it, but I loved the game so much that I went for it. And then that made it, I think, easier for me to play Knights and Bikes, which was his game he made after he left Media Molecule. And so by the time Return to Monkey Island came, I was like, I loved how these games. Return to Monkey Island is probably the most like conservative of all of those games in terms of how it looks. I think it's actually like dialed in quite a lot. Right. So when people were complaining about how Return to Monkey Island looked in the trailer, it was a subset of the fans who weren't into it. I was like, what? This looks great. Like pixel art. I'm not a fan of modern pixel art. Like I hadn't played Thimbleweed Park. Like to me, I wasn't interested in that and how it looked when it first came out. So. Yeah, it's funny how it can really make a difference to people. Like, and it's such a lizard brain response. Like, there's no reasoning for it. It's just preference. Like your taste buds, you just fucking is
your
the way
eye
it is.
buds. You just immediately just turned off.
Yeah, you're not making like a informed moral reaning or anything. It's just this.
You can't quantify it. You're just like, I'm looking at this and it's ugly and I'm turning it off. That's it.
Yeah, taste, man.
Yeah.
Do we control it or does it control us?
Whoa.
Yeah. Any for you other than Gears of War, Frank? I can see that with you. You're a colorful gentleman.
Yeah, I feel like also in that PS1 era, there was a lot of, speaking of fighting games specifically, so many games tried to keep like the same gameplay, but just have 3D graphics. Like there was a Fatal Fury 3D that like is so ugly. Nowadays it's funny, but like at the time there were so many games that tried to do 2D into 3D, and like maybe they kept the gameplay, but it just looked so ugly. But nothing immediate comes to mind. I mean, honestly, like Mortal Kombat 4, I played at the time, but that is one of the ugliest games of all. That's one of the ugliest games of all time.
Those were rough. I feel like the transition of power that happened in that era was wild, because you had studios where you had people who were good at doing 2D art and good at making 2D games, and then suddenly you needed engineers who were able to animate things in 3D and build 3D worlds, and then you needed like 3D modelers who were able to make good-looking 3D back when you could only have like fucking 200 polygons in your scene. It was just like so many studios disappeared during that transition, and so many new games appeared, like Wipeout. You know what I mean? Like one. I've always mentioned this. The only two games that I think ever made the transition from 2D to 3D in a way that the game was actually better is the one. I'll mention the first one, which I think I'm maybe crazy. Is I think Worms 3D is fucking brilliant, and I think they totally changed the gameplay of the game because they had to, because Worms is an insanely 2D game, but they nailed it. I don't think it's better maybe than the 2D Worms games, but at the time I think it might have been, because the 2D Worms games then, I'm not sure if Armageddon had come out. Maybe it had, so maybe I'm wrong. But I think that was pretty good. And then the obvious one is Grand Theft Auto, where they just
not Mario, not like Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Are we about to do this? What are we? Okay,
that's a fair chance. Is it generally is that the case? Do people think that 64 is? Because I'm not a huge
I don't know
Mario
if it's
Zelda
like
fan.
some like historical revisionism, but from my understanding, most people still think Super Mario 64 has the best controls. I personally don't agree, but I know that most people do.
I can see it. You're right. That's just my Nintendo blind spot for those eras.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think there's probably more people who'd say that Ocarina of Time and Mario were a better 3D conversion than Worms 3D.
Yeah, you said Worms 3D, and you're like, there's two options. I was like, what's number two? How is Worms 3D one of the two options? Yeah,
taste, man.
Yeah,
there's
fair.
no accounting for it. Fucking hell. Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, and it's funny, like you're right, like even still, like there are some games like Street Fighter that just in my brain look better in 2D, but you know, it just it's funny, and we see it, like a lot of games are 2D for that reason to this day, or retain that aesthetic in some way, even if they're designed in 3D. I feel sorry for people bouncing off Obra Dinn. I really like the way that game looks. Yeah. That's like such a look, and I think it really works.
It's funny, like I'm so bad at like puzzle games, mystery, like games where you have to stop, think, and be patient.
Right.
That's not usually what I play video games for. But the aesthetic of Obra Dinn and like the whole, I mean, it's Lovecrafty, but like for me, I read it as like Stephen King. But the whole like cryptic stuff that goes on is it hooked me. Like, dude. Yeah. So normally I wouldn't play a puzzle game like that, but because of the aesthetic and story and setting, it's like one of my all-time favorite games.
I have been waiting for a time where I've forgotten enough about the Return to Obra Dinn, Return of the Obra Dinn, that I can go back and play it again. That I can return to the Return of the Obra Dinn. And
so
it might
good.
be there. I know the broad stuff, and I think I always will, but like I don't remember who did what, where, or what. So maybe I'll dip back in.
Soundtrack too.
Yeah. What the fuck is Lucas Pope up to? It's been like 6 years, Lucas. Come on, bruh.
Game Awards next month. It's that and Grand Theft Auto 6, baby. That's all we're seeing.
Dude, they just fucking, the Housers just came, well, not one of the Housers, because one of them's left. Sam just came out and said, happy 25th anniversary to Rockstar. I should tweet him. We made you a documentary about DMA design. Go check it out. That was pretty cool to see that. And then he said, we're just going to release a trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6 next month. We're like, holy shit. There's a lot of fucking old video game stuff happening at the moment. There was news, somebody was like, they patched Half-Life. Because there was like
crazy.
Or there's like I don't know, there's people who like do secret sleuthing on Steam apps, and they get like, you know, all the like, there's a fucking, and then we get like,
Danny
what did we get, Danny? He'll tell us later.
He was leaking secrets.
Yeah.
No, I saw on that point, Atlas, I don't know, but they released a Persona 5 accidentally a week early.
Yeah, Tactica came out today,
Persona
right?
5 Tactics a week early. I was like, what the hell? And immediately Steam took it down within like 10 minutes. But apparently if you added it to your account and then like go offline, you can still play it. But also I feel like that was a game that's not super anticipated.
Which is weird because Persona 5 is so big. You think it would be. Yeah, but
see now, because I'm still in the middle of Persona 4. Persona 3 remake comes out next year. I don't know, but Atlas fans are always excited.
I mean, there's
again that's the other. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm so scared of all the games to make up for by the end of the year. When I think of tactics games, there's still Baldur's Gate that like I don't want to touch Persona 5 I'm like already like maxed out. I don't want to get any more new games.
I'm struggling too, man. Like I'm trying to find that last set of like 5 or 6 games of like, I know there's stuff I still need to play. The stuff Jeremy's probably really excited about. It's probably stuff you're really excited about, and Danny. And I'm like, where are they? I want them now. But it's one of them is Octopath Traveler 2, but I'm like, I don't know how much time I have. That's like an 80-hour long RPG. I don't know if I could play that. You know, like
That's really good.
Did you guys get disconnected as
Nope,
well, or was
just
it just me?
No, we remained on. You vanished.
Okay, cool. All right. Did you continue the podcast?
we were trying,
did.
and then somebody interrupted us just
we were
now.
And I just came back in.
No,
Okay,
it's all
I'm
good.
sorry.
We were talking about how Steam Sleuths Persona 5 Tactics accidentally launched a week early on Steam.
No.
So,
Yeah.
so a few people downloaded it before they delisted it. So like that's
An intern definitely got
Wow.
fired for that one.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it. All that stuff. I'm not sure when I got cut off, but I was going to say, if you wanted to watch a documentary on the legacy of Half-Life, we have one over on Noclip. It's called Unforeseen Consequences. Go check it out. It doesn't really make any sense anymore because at the end we're like, oh, they'll never make another Half-Life game again. And then of course Alex came out, so who the fuck knows? But isn't it funny how people do that? Like, I wonder what they do to skim all that information. There's a thing you can do called phishing, which is we used to do it in college to servers, to basically you scrub information. You basically just like ping a server. You just have a spider ping a server a string of names, in a row, random characters, and if it can do it enough, if you don't get like a DDoS or whatever if you don't like ping the server too many times, it'll go through and basically like find files for you. It'll just like go, is this file here? Is this file here? Is this file here? And then whenever it gets one, it's like, okay, here we go. And we used to do that to get our exam, to get our the exam questions beforehand. Yeah. So that was funny. So I wonder, maybe I don't know what they do to find that stuff out, but. Yeah, it's cool.
There's that Steam DB that like you can just scour. That's always doing. I think probably what you're saying of just like constantly pulling information from Steam servers. So there's always ways to find that information.
Yeah, they seem to have a way of it. But I guess I bring it up just to talk about the fact that like we're in that era, like we're getting into these big anniversaries. Like our NHL documentary is because the game is 30 years old this year. You know what I mean? Like there's, fuck, we're getting old. Like that's what I'm getting old. Anyway, you guys are younger
still
than I am.
Spring chickens, yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. It reminds me of like growing up in the night. I guess I was like 14 when the 90s ended, but like growing up in the early aughts, let's say, and like people wearing Led Zeppelin shirts or talking about these bands that were in the 70s and 80s, and I'm like, it's the same fucking thing now. It's like when I'm talking to my kid about Monkey Island, I might as well, but I'm not talking to my kid about Worms 3D or Metal Gear Solid. Like Metal Gear Solid is 25 years old this year, right? Like what other games came out in 98? There was Ocarina of Time, I think.
Maybe. Sounds right.
I think so.
Yeah. Quake 3 will be...
Let's check other video game anniversaries.
Yeah. I mean, Doom was probably 30 years old this year, was it? I think it was.
Beyond Good and Evil.
Banjo-Kazooie.
Banjo-Kazooie. Game of Forever.
There you go. Yeah. December 10th will be the 30th anniversary of Doom.
Wow.
Like...
Doom's older than me.
Wild.
Speaking of Doom, I finally got Audible and I picked up John Romero's audiobook. It's excellent. I had started reading it like months ago, but I just never had time to sit down and read. It's a big, thick book.
Yeah, it's big.
But I've been listening to John Romero's audiobook on my bike rides and car rides, and it's like he is such a good narrator. He's excellent. Like,
it's really good. I wasn't sure if it would be, and I think it gets better. I think after the first two chapters, he actually like gets into it a bit more.
Yeah.
I need to read
cool.
that.
Yeah,
I've been looking into I've just been doing research on memory and stuff. And there's like 68 people on the planet or something that have hyperthemia or whatever it's called, the disease that it's not a disease, the thing that he has where you can like just remember everything from your life.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah, he's got a crazy memory. He's always had it, and it's funny. It's like, and I've interviewed enough times now to be like to like, because I'm always wondering, like, when people say that, do they just make shit up? Like, are they are they actually good at that? And I've interviewed enough people who worked with him as well, who basically say like, oh, I just ask John if I don't remember things. I just like like he remembers everything. Like if I can't remember something from a while ago, I'll send John an email and he'll get back to me and say, yeah, it was this, and this. Like just
wild.
And like how that much must change your perspective on life if you have like a fairly accurate memory. Maybe you don't. Maybe you still remember you still collect those memories in a very objective way based on what you were thinking about things at the time. I have no idea.
I mean, my understanding is it's still really lo-fi. Like nobody has photographic memory. That's not a real thing. But you remember stuff with hyperthemia that's still pretty lo-fi. Like you can't remember specifics. If somebody asked for a list of stuff, you can't pull that all up. But you can get like bits and pieces, important things, faces, who was there, where was it, stuff like that. So
it's like stuff that felt important at the time, but that you'd remember 2 days later, but like they continue to remember it or something. You know, it just falls off for us. It's wild. Yeah, loads of docs coming out from us in the next little while. Bear with us. I think in the next couple of weeks, everything will make sense. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background over here that we can't talk about. There's a lot of really great work happening, and we're just not able to talk about it yet, unfortunately. I think everything will be, you know, we've been slow on the Patreon side last month, basically, and I think, you know, all will be forgiven when you see what we've been sort of like toiling away on back here. So please, so thank you very much for supporting our work. And like I said, we've got these 2 big documentaries. Other work has continued. Jeremy did an amazing job on the NHL 94 one, which we're hoping to get out very soon. And the same with Return to Monkey Island. Both of those are going to be big meaty boys coming out. They'll both be out in November. Which order they come out is basically sort of down to how fast I can get them rendered and how quickly I can send Lucas a version of the crazy long Return to Monkey Island one we did. So thank you very much for that. Thanks for the feedback on my show over on A16Z Games. It was fun to see the reaction to it. Nothing was unexpected. I think people were a little bit like, what is this going on over here? What is Danny doing?
Crypto
and in the first episode,
when did that happen? Whoa. What?
Their games vertical does not do crypto. You know, I'm just going to say that right now. I'm not getting paid in crypto.
Yet.
Right, exactly, yeah. They're not paying me. They're just giving me... they're giving me a bunch of Doge, I think.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to go to the Bored Apes. Yeah, exactly. No, their gaming fund is, you know, you can feel whatever way you feel about venture capitalist companies, venture capital groups, but they came to us asking for they came basically asking for advice on like how to produce interviews with their developers, and then I gave them a bunch of advice, and then I was like, actually, we have this like secret type thing. You know, we could produce stuff for you if you have it. And then eventually it came down to, I'd really like to bring my op-ed show back. Will you just pay me to do that? And they were like, sure, I guess. I don't know. We need stuff on the channel. And then I did it. So first episode seems to have been well received. I'm trying to figure out what to do for number 2. Maybe Alan Wake or something like that. Maybe dive into some of that engine stuff. Yeah. But thanks. It's getting choked up over here. But thanks for all the messages about it. I really appreciate it. We're doing that for about 6 months, and it's a good payday for Noclip as well. So it's definitely helping out with everything we've been trying to do with Secret Tape as well. So there'll be more episodes of that over on that channel. And other bits and bobs. Lots of stuff happening as it happens now, especially with moving out of the studio as well. So loads going on. Great job on your Baldur's Gate gameplay, by the way, Frank.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Doing the damn thing. If you would like to support Noclip, this podcast, fund their documentaries, and get access to bonus episodes, the official Discord, and loads more, head over to patreon.com/Noclip. There's also a bunch of Patreon related stuff that has been kicked down the road a little bit in terms of how we're running the Patreon. We're going to start adding a lot of stuff to the Patreon. We're going to start adding a lot of extended interviews and extended cuts of things. We've sort of figured out some of the production teething problems we've always had with that. And when we did that big poll, one of the things that came through for both patrons and non-patrons was they want more interview content stuff that we wouldn't put up on the channel willy-nilly. So we were like, okay, is there a way we can build like a database of these things? Like go back through all our old interviews, find some of the cool stuff that's in there, make some features based on them, and that's basically the plan. So there's 2024 on Noclip is going to be a lot more like, here's the documentaries hitting the main channel, and then if you want all these extra goodies, come back over and we're going to be putting them out over the next couple of weeks. So we're still trying to figure out some of the bits and bobs, but most of the production hurdles have been figured out, which is pretty cool because we want to add as much of that stuff as possible, especially for those of you who are really, really in the weeds on this sort of stuff. You know, we have to edit a lot. And there's sometimes we're just like, for the sake of the history, we'd love people to have access to this sort of stuff. So that's kind of the idea there. That's a podcast. Jesse, what are you doing for the rest of your week?
That's a good question. I don't know. Busting my butt, working hard, trying to dodge the cold rain. I don't know.
Oh my
Watch
God.
The Killer again. It's coming to Netflix. I feel like I'm a Netflix promo this week. I'm not being paid by Netflix, I promise. But The Killer.
Did you see it in the cinema?
Yeah, we went to go see it in the theater. It was showing at a very few screens, but that movie is phenomenal. It's really,
really? You liked it a lot?
It's really good. It's David Fincher.
Got my boy.
Yeah, it's got Michael Fassbender.
It's got Fassbender.
Yeah. Is he Irish?
He is born in Germany, but he grew up in Ireland.
That's what it is.
And his mum is Irish. So he grew up in Cork.
Yeah.
Cork.
Cork.
He doesn't sound like that, though. He's not a Langer. He's from, he's got a kind of a German affect to his accent, but he did grow up in Cork in Ireland.
But yeah, very good movie. I will watch that again.
Nice. It's out on November
10th.
Oh, cool. 2 days from now. I'm going to check that out. Thanks for reminding me. Holy shit. Hey, thanks. Use offer code Noclip when you're getting your Netflix.
Please type in Jesse for the promo
code. Frank, what about yourself?
Saturday is Anime Chibi, which is a smaller version of Anime Expo in Ontario, California. And then that same day is a Devo concert in San Diego. So I'm going to try to drive like 3 hours south after the Anime Con to go see Devo. I kind of double booked myself, but it'll be a fun Saturday. And then there's a new Yakuza game that's out, and I think it's on Game Pass too.
Oh yeah, the man who erased
like
his
a Dragon,
name, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this is like the side Kiru title. This is not like the big Like a Dragon with Animal Crossing. That's in January. But I heard this is a shorter one, so will I have time to play this in addition to 30 other 2023 Game of the Year titles?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll play several hours of it and report on it next week. But Yakuza games are delicious because it's like maybe 30 minutes of cutscenes chilling, and then 30 minutes of incredible fun beat 'em up combat, and then 30 minutes of sex mini games. And it's
what
like
else do you need?
So
it's a trifecta.
It's the
it's
the Frank Howley golden ratio explained.
It's so good. It's so good.
Amazing. Thank you all for listening to the podcast. I hope you all have a fantastic week. Thanks for listening to 150 episodes of this. Massive thanks to Jesse, who's basically the reason this became a weekly podcast again. Without him, we wouldn't have been able to do this, and we wouldn't have done it, quite frankly. So great to have you on here. Excited to get you and Jeremy on as well in a couple of weeks for the start of our Game of the Year stuff. We still haven't figured out our book club episode this month. This is
There's so much going on. We're so busy.
It's all Danny problems, man.
It's everyone.
Fucking hell. We'll get to it. Thank you all so much for listening to the podcast. Have a great week, and we'll see you for 151 next time. Bye.